Oh, I almost got it in time. Hold on real quick. I'm putting this right there right now, guys, because that's what this is. I didn't get a press screening. Obviously, I didn't get a early advanced screening of this movie. And judging by the footage from San Diego Comic-Con, where everybody that cameos in this movie is on stage, we're going into spoilers. We are in full spoiler territory. This is not Endgame, where people were pretty good. I feel like 2 weeks. 2 weeks was like the Endgame, like, curtain for spoilers, and then the floodgates opened. Not Deadpool and Wolverine, apparently. We are doing Saturday afternoon, because that's when I'm recording this, and I'm seeing spoilers. I'm going to do my last spoiler warning here, because I'm going to say who I saw at San Diego Comic-Con for the Deadpool Wolverine panel. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. I saw Wesley Snipes on stage. I saw Channing Tatum on stage. I don't know if I saw Jennifer Garner on stage, but they're just full on tweeting. They're on stage presenting. So hopefully everybody that went to that, I don't know if it's a Hall H panel, went to see the movie beforehand, or if they showed the movie beforehand. I really don't know how it's working, but they are just going all in with every single spoiler. So welcome to your spoiler review from me for Deadpool and Wolverine. This obviously stars Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, and it follows Deadpool. I'll give a quick rundown of the plot, where because Logan, Wolverine, has died in the movie Logan, that is their central figure of that universe. And because that person has died, that universe is slowly deteriorating. But, what's his name? Paradox? Mr. Paradox? Mr. Paradox, played by Matthew McFadyen, wants to speed it up. He doesn't want to be stuck in middle management at the TVA anymore, so he's going to just clean cut that universe off, and it's up to Deadpool to get another Wolverine to save it. And he comes across Wolverine from Universe 10, I don't think they say what universe he's in, but he's not a good Wolverine. He's in fact dubbed the worst Wolverine. And it's up to them to save all universes, because they run into Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin, who is Professor X's somewhat twin that was put into the void at a young age, at birth basically, and she wants to take over all the universes and destroy them. So yeah, there's a whole lot going on in this movie with multiversal travel. There's a lot of fun cameos, and we're gonna get into it, but I don't think I'm gonna go plot by plot or beat by beat with this movie. I always say this is gonna be a short review or something like that, and I end up being 10-15 minutes, but I'm gonna aim for 10 to 15 minutes. I feel like that'd be good. We're already at minute 3, so let's get going. So this is obviously the third Deadpool movie, and mainly what this is a a swan song of the Fox Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have a lot of Fox Marvel cameos. We've got Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. We've obviously, like I said, we've got Blade by Wesley Snipes. We've got Electro from Jennifer Garner. And the big one, and I think I was going to say something, but I didn't want to be that guy in the theater. But as the credits roll, I'm who was the Channing Tatum character? And obviously he was Gambit from the much maligned and never made Gambit movie. And there are plenty of jokes of because what these guys are saying is that they want an end. They want an end to their movie. Oh, and Daphne Keane is there as X-23 as well. They want a proper end to their movie. They don't mind dying for this fight, but they just want an end to their story. And Gambit's well, I want a beginning. And so I thought that was pretty funny. But the movie, I like the movie, and I like all the Deadpool movies. I think they're very good. I'm just not in love with these movies like a lot of people are. And that's not I'm not just in love, let me get out my cool kid points and say I'm so different right now because I don't love Deadpool. No, I find them very enjoyable. They're very funny. But I mean, even with the characters that obviously it's a fourth wall break within a fourth wall break of oh my God, Wade, you never shut up. You're always joking. And that's basically, I don't know if they're talking about the audience, because there are some times where I'm just gosh, they are just going a mile a minute with some of these jokes. And, if one for every 3 hits, you're batting 300, and that's a pretty good average in the major leagues, and that's what they're going for. And that's what I feel is that one in every 3 jokes does hit for me, at least for me. There are some very laugh out loud, funny, gut busting moments in this movie. And there are a lot of jokes that I went, in a crowded Dolby screening. People were cheering at every single cameo. They cheered at Johnny Storm. They cheered, the first time you see Wolverine on screen, and he's like the little short Wolverine, and we'll get to that, that montage of cameos, which is great. So I went with the right crowd, and even they were like, I didn't hear any groans or anything, but there were definitely a bunch of jokes that fell flat in the room. Not every joke was, gut-bustingly funny, or like had people, in the aisles rolling on the floor. And not even that, but there were some jokes that just really did fall flat. And there were some jokes that really landed. With myself, with everyone around me, with the whole theater, there were some really, really good jokes. I do think my main thing about this movie is that the emotion's not there. The emotion really isn't there for this one, and that's a big departure from the first two movies, because in the first movie you are really in love with Wade and Vanessa. You do care about that relationship. You do care about Wade and why he's doing, this experimental treatment, and why he wants to get revenge on Francis, I think his name is. And then you care about, when Vanessa gets kidnapped and all these things. And then I was on my friend's podcast, Geeks with S.H.I.E.L.D. I think this episode will be dropping soon because of this movie. We talked about all the X-Men movies. When, Vanessa, spoilers for Deadpool 2, I guess, if you're here. When Vanessa gets shot, and then, they keep referring back to her, kind of like in this heaven realm. And then she's like, well, kiss me like you miss me, Red. And it's, a very good moment as Deadpool's dying. It got me kind of teared up. It worked for me in that moment, and I will not deny it. I won't play too cool about it or anything. That emotional moment worked. I say in the podcast that it was a big mistake to what's the Marina Baccarin? It's a big mistake to not have her in the whole movie. They really sidelined her in that movie, and that's the biggest flaw of that movie, that she's not in it more, because even in those small emotional moments it really works. And they do try in this movie, and it's almost because they can't show what happened because of casting. Because in this universe, why they call Wolverine the bad Wolverine is because he went out, what I gather, he went out drinking one night. He didn't want to be a part of the team, typical Wolverine stuff, never listened to Scott, never listened to Professor X, and he went out and got wasted one night. And while he was wasted, I don't know if it was Brian Cox or, whatever that character's name is from X2, came in and killed everybody in the X Mansion, and he came back too late and killed, good people, bad people, it didn't matter. And we get this flashback, you've probably seen it, where, the flashback was good, and then when, I say you've probably seen it, if you're watching this and haven't seen the movie, kudos, but I'm sure there are better reviewers out there giving you a better explanation. But in that moment, after all these cameos with Daphne Keane, with Channing Tatum, with Wesley Snipes, we're finally getting to the reason why this Logan is the way he is. And it's almost like, guys, we're out of money. We can't get Famke Jensen. We can't get James Marsden. We can't get Patrick Stewart. We can't get these people to even play corpses, or pay for their likeness and CGI, body double over their faces or something. And I think it was kind of a mistake of just have them all lying face down or dismembered or something. I don't know, man. It's an R-rated movie. You've shown the opening sequence of this movie is the most insanely bloody thing that's been in a comic movie for quite a while. And so the flashback, as good of an actor as Hugh Jackman is, because he is so good. And when he tells off Wade in the car and they finally have their big you never shut up, you're not a hero. It's a little bit repetitive of Cable doing it in Deadpool 2. It's literally in a car as well. But this one really does, I like the difference in that it really does hit Deadpool this time. He's I'm gonna fight you now. And this fight isn't, set to some needle drop like it is in the first time when they first enter the void. It's no, I really want to kill you because of what you said, even though we basically can't kill each other. But the flashback just doesn't hit like they thought it would. And that's with Hugh Jackman's superb acting, because this is a character he's given his all to. And, as much fun as they make it, where he's fighting with Logan's adamantium skeleton in the opening scene, Logan is a very powerful emotional movie, and you feel it, and that's kind of draped all over Deadpool Wolverine. But with this final flashback moment, you're just kind of oh man, not that I need a visual cue, but when you just have kind of echoes and just the way the movie's been translated for you, the way the movie's been presented to you, you do need those visual cues, and you do need like to kind of figure out what happened to make this the worst Wolverine in the multiverse. Infinite Wolverines out there apparently, and this is the worst one. You really got to show me why. You really got to show me why that this guy is drinking rubbing alcohol at this moment, and the movie just doesn't deliver on that, and it was a real shame. Because I think Deadpool in the first two movies has done a good job of balancing the emotion and the humor. I'm not looking, for Citizen Kane or, Moonlight or Beale Street or, the most emotionally riveting movies that I can think of. And that just make me are tough to watch because they're so emotional. But I am looking for some like Cap dancing with Peggy, the Iron Man giving Spider-Man a hug. These are great emotional comic book moments that I remember and make me tear up sometimes. And so there is levels to this game, and they couldn't even reach that first level that they wanted to get, and it was a real shame. But I love the and it's so funny. But I love the cameos, and that's the thing, is that it just depends on what you're going to a Deadpool movie for. And it's totally fine if you're going for if you get 10 big laughs in 2 hours and some fun cameos and some good action. Heck yes, dude, absolutely. I will say something about the action. I don't think it's that great. I think the first Deadpool Wolverine fight, both Deadpool Wolverine fights are good. I think everything else is pretty subpar. I think the final, and that's a shame because the final big fight with Elektra, Blade, Gambit, X-23, especially X-23, I don't understand. You have Daphne Keane, who in her big debut shows that she can do stunt choreography and just absolutely kills it. And then in her big Star Wars debut, goes toe to toe in one of the best lightsaber fights on screen and shows it again. And yet, I don't know what the stunt team and what Sean Levy was doing, but they just didn't showcase her talents enough. And that was the one that pissed me off a bit. I know Wesley Snipes is getting a bit older. I'm 36. I'm not calling anybody old here. I'm 36. I think everybody, Jennifer Garner, Channing Tatum, I think they're all older than me. So I understand that I couldn't do these stunts, and I'm not, in their shoes at all. But you can have overhead shots. You can have stunt doubles. There's movie magic to be made here, and that final fight is just not great. The Deadpool versus, the hordes of Deadpool, it's a little better with, the tracking shot. It's a little better, but it still didn't do much for me, unfortunately. I don't know. There's much praise to be had about this movie, and if you had a good time, I don't envy you because I didn't hate this movie at all. I had a perfectly fine time with it, but for me, it is a step down from the other two. This is the Return of the Jedi of the trilogy, which, hey, it could be your favorite. Return of the Jedi is plenty of people's favorites, but in the vast majority of things, it might be the weakest Star Wars movie, and that's totally fine. It's not a bad thing. It's a pretty great trilogy if your worst movie is Return of the Jedi, for God's sake. Even we talked about it on the podcast where in X-Men Apocalypse, Bryan Singer literally makes the third movie is always the worst, and Apocalypse is easily the worst X-Men movie, maybe outside of Origins Wolverine. And it's very rare that you get a trilogy like the Wolverine trilogy where where they get better and better and better, and Logan is your best movie by far. So I still think this is a very strong, perfectly capable summer blockbuster. It's gonna do gangbusters at the box office. It's gonna make all the money. It's made everybody involved in these movies so much money, and I'm very, very happy for them. Just the more I talk about it, I keep saying I'm trying to convince myself that there are good things. There are plenty of good things. I don't need to convince myself. The short little Logan, the comic book accurate Logan, was hilarious. All the different cameos of him fighting Hulk. The Henry Cavill cameo was great. I love that Chris Evans got to do Flame On. I don't know how Pyro would beat Human Torch in a fight. I think that was a little bit they even make a joke of oh, he's killing us in the budget. The post credits, that Human Torch actually said all those things about what's the character's name, Cassandra Nova, was hilarious. When Nicepool goes, the proposal, and that's all he says as the joke. That's the most perfect. That might be the best Deadpool meta joke about Ryan Reynolds. Like, it might be the best one, honestly. I don't want to say this movie drags, but you definitely do feel, was it 2 hours and 2 minutes? 2 hours and 7 minutes. You definitely feel that runtime. And that when you have Deadpool turn to the screen, guys, this is the final act, I promise. Even the filmmaker and scriptwriters know it. That you're keeping us here. And so I enjoyed the movie. I had a great time. We're at 15 minutes, so I'm just going to cut myself off, guys. Go see this movie. I definitely recommend go see it because it's going to be more fun with a crowd. I think you'll have way more fun in a crowded theater, laughing along with everybody, clapping along to all the cameos. It's going to be fun. And I'm sure, hopefully you have seen it because I've spoiled the crap out of this movie. But I definitely recommend going to see it. Maybe go see it twice. See how different crowds react to different things. I remember seeing Infinity War 3 times in the first weekend. And when Tony got stabbed, every time, everyone's like, oh, it's one of my favorite Marvel moments. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Have a great weekend. And let me know, what was your favorite cameo? What was your favorite part of the movie? And what is your order of Deadpool movies? I think I go 1, 2, 3 in order. 2 might be slightly better than 1. I flip-flop. But 3 is a solid bronze medal. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye-bye.